No, it's not about being selfish. It is more of a logical reasoning, and it's about opening up. We sometimes think that being the other gender can provide us with the concession the other person right now is able to grasp. But have you ever given a thought about how difficult it is to let go of a privilege that you are having right now because you thought it would be easier to give up on? Think it the other way around. The closest we have ever been to ourselves was the time we took out for a biological break or shower, which is actually included as one of the therapies, and it is good. Okay, there is nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody knows it, and also have experienced it, I know. But the actual reason we are here today is to look our gender discrimination, ruling out any or all specificities or any hurdles in a different way of viewing the point. The general approach towards any development, empowerment, or realization starts with one asking questions and not continuing what we've been doing since the ancient time. Our guest here, Advocate Leena Patil ma'am, is here to share her experiences, thoughts, and a practical way of approach to life, including gender-based misconceptions and biases. Remember, one thing works only if we let it to work. And that happens only when you listen to the right and the bright side of any situation. Hence, by not taking much of your time, I welcome you all again in the session and looking forward for all of you to have an amazing time and learn and take something new from today's enlightenment. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me and being a great audience. Nakia and Sadia, over to you.
Sadia, Nakia is there or you go ahead? Has Nakia got disconnected? No, Nakia is there in the meeting. Nakia, can you hear us? Nakia?
Ma'am, I guess they both are having connectivity issues. Just a second.
Okay.
Now I would like to call Assistant Professor Ghazala Parveen ma'am from HAS Department from School of Engineering and Technology will take over and introduce our resource person. Over to you, ma'am, Ghazala ma'am.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum to all. On behalf of Anjuman Islam's Kalsika Technical Campus, I, Professor Ghazala Parveen, from Humanities and Applied Science Department, is privileged to introduce our today's speaker, Advocate Leena Patil. Advocate Leena Patil is founder and managing partner of Legal Integrity LLP, a full-service law firm in Navi, Mumbai, with over 25 years of experience. She has a diversified portfolio of her work experience from education sector, service sector, and corporations. Now, if you see her educational background, she holds a bachelor degree in law from University of Mumbai in 2000. She is a MBA from Tipple Accredited Business School of University of Strathclyde, Glasgow, UK in 2006. She is multidisciplinary postgraduate of science in 1992. She has undertaken intensive 40 hours training in negotiation and commercial mediation from IIAM Cochin, India in 2013. Next slide, ma'am. Okay, she started her professional career as an advocate in year 2000. Her practice area includes corporate and commercial, human resource, or you can say labor laws, transaction support, banking and financial, company laws, education, family law, amongst others across various industrial sectors also. So Advocate Leena is a practicing lawyer and accredited mediator. She is founder, member, and secretary of Council of Mediation and Arbitration, Maharashtra. She is also empaneled accredited mediator and certified arbitrator on the National Panel of Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation. She is also empaneled mediator with Main Mediation Center at Bombay High Court and District Mediation Services at Raigad, Maharashtra. So this is her professional career. Next, ma'am. Shine, ma'am, next slide. If we see her, hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Oh, sorry, I got this. She was invited to participate in Southeast Asia Mediators Workshop on company mediation at Kingdom of Cambodia in May 2014. She is playing crucial role in organizing free dispute resolution camps, mediation awareness seminars, and pre-litigation mediation under the ADR wing We Resolve of her full-service law firm. She is often on the panel of judges for moot mediation competitions held in various law colleges. She has been associated with several NGOs and working for social cause related to women and child development. She mediates commercial disputes, property disputes, family disputes, and matrimonial disputes. Keeping abreast with her profession, trekking is her passion, and she likes to travel across the boundaries to enrich the knowledge of culture, nature, and diversity. Till now, she has completed 8 moderate Himalayan treks and served as camp leader. She also has hobby of writing on social topics and law-related topics. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to introduce our speaker. And I would like to welcome our ma'am to this Anjuman Islam family. And I would like to hand over the mic to Sadia. Thank you so much.
Our director, sir, has also joined. So if sir wants to say something to the audience, sir. Sir, if you want to address something to the audience.
Thank you, Professor Poonam Matre Madam, Ghazala Madam.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I'm here just as an audience, not to put my nose into such a wonderful, webinar you have arranged, particularly on a very important, topic, gender equality and empowerment. So you all are there to empower women, and you invited a very apt, right person for this forum. And I'm very happy to see that many students and faculty members, and in majority, so there are female students and faculty members, and I can find hardly or other men and male are in minority now. So the very first, in terms of numbers, in terms of participants, the question is on equality here. So the numbers are varying, and that means this power is shifted on your side, and the challenge is how to prove that equanimity. Anyway, jokes apart, I really wanted such programs to be taken up to sensitize the power of our faculty and staff in the present times, where there is a lot of talk, lot of debates. They always go on, especially in terms of gender equality, gender equanimity, empowerment of women rights, and so many things. And in order to sensitize our team, the Women Empowerment Team, the Women Center, Women Development Center, headed by Professor Poonam Matre, thought of this particular webinar, and that too by calling a very apt, learned advocate, Madam Leena, and definitely she'll make justice for this today's program. I can only say that I'm a strong advocate to always tell that there is nothing like equality, right? Men and women are here on this planet to complement each other, because the two are uniquely created. They are unique in nature, and one should not compete each other, but complement each other. So truly speaking, there is absolutely no comparison between both. In the sense, we must treat both as one, and then only the power of equanimity is proved, because the creator is one. He has created the entire creation, and keeping that oneness within all. So as such, the distinction is only when you look at the forms and traditions and different aspects of creation. But truly speaking, it is always equal. But how do we take it? That is a matter of our understanding. And many times what happens, a deliberate attempt to divide this one into parts, divide one into two, or one into half and half, or one into many numbers. So that kind of deliberate attempt has been taken place since centuries. And always there is a thing like dominance. Sometime, on one side suppression, dominance over the other side. Then that way, again, created some kind of impact on females, like now, so far they dominated, now we will dominate. So those kind of things are, according to me, truly against the nature. So there is a nature existing, and natural laws say that we all are one, and how to prove that oneness is prevailing. And for that, the empowerment is a matter of concern. So I am very sure that the invited resource person will tell more on legal aspects, but at the same time, I request her, and you also understand, that it is not only the legal matters related to gender equality and empowerment that is a need in the society, but more importantly, the aspects related to the very creation purpose, psychohygienic aspects of both the genders, and also the understanding, care, concern of the creation plan itself. So on that also, if you can throw light, then it definitely gives a signal to our team so that we all can work together in a most friendly way, and without any kind of competition, but complementing each other's strengths. And if there are certain flaws, then we need to add on certain values so that those flaws becomes our strength. So that is how we need to move on. So I'm very happy to witness this particular webinar by Advocate Leena Patil Madam. And thanks to the organizers, thanks to entire team for making me talk something about this program right in the beginning. And for the knowledge of Advocate Leena Patil, I think you are addressing that gathering which belongs to a ocean. And the ocean, when I say, it is Anjuman-e-Islam, and it is that organization which was established way back in 1874. It was about 148 years ago, and that time, those who founded, they had a great vision. The great vision in terms of not only community perspective, but also human perspective. And that time, they never saw that they never made distinction between men and women. So, and even there was no distinction between caste and cadre. You will be surprised to know there are many things I can tell about Anjuman-e-Islam, but one distinct aspect of this organization is that when Anjuman started way back, its first girls' school there in Belasis Road, Bombay Central and Bandra, a Urdu medium school for girls, which was headed by a Jewish lady, and the vice principal being a Christian lady, and supervisor of that school was a Saraswat Brahman. Can you imagine? A school in Urdu medium was started by a Jewish lady, a Christian lady, and also a Saraswat Brahman. So that was the
Isn't
spirit.
it that a real portrait of integrity?
Exactly. We always advocate, and we have been secular, and we are a part of national integration since then. So we never compromise that aspects of Anjuman. So that is the reason why for the last 148 years, it has grown leaps and bounds. We have got 97 institutions today, 110,000 students. And this campus where you are addressing, Anjuman-e-Islam's Kalseka Technical Campus, is a recent addition. We started in 2011. And prior to that, there was a Polytechnic, 2002. And in that sense, we are the youngest institution in entire Anjuman-e-Islam. But we are very proud to say that in a short span of 10 years, this campus has become a role model for entire Anjuman-e-Islam. This was officially declared by our management of Anjuman-e-Islam, and we are very happy for that. And that is only because of our faculty, staff, students who are so much attached, and they have shown their mettle, they have shown their character, they have adopted those values, and the message has been sent to the top body that yes, this is a role model to be followed by all other institutions of Anjuman. So that kind of vision we carry, and that is the reason why our vision is to be the most sought after technical campus that others would wish to emulate. So this was our vision, and I am happy to pronounce here that Anjuman-e-Islam has already declared that this is a role model institution that others can emulate in Anjuman. So that is how our journey is. And that's the reason why I said you are here addressing a part of ocean. And this ocean of our students, faculty will definitely carry your message across Anjuman-e-Islam. And if you can bring certain positive change, they're already positive, but I want you to make them more positive so that, the meaning of their existence on this campus is really proved. So with that appeal, I will take my seat. Thank you very much. I welcome one and all to this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing such amazing and comforting words of advice. Now, to begin with the most awaited day, I would request our chief guest, Advocate Leena ma'am, to share her thoughts, views, and insight on the topic. Over to you, Leena ma'am.
Ma'am, you can share your screen.
firstly accept my apologies. Am I audible properly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first, accept my apologies. There was some technical issue, so we couldn't connect for a few minutes. So I apologize for that first. Yes, and it's my honor and pleasure to be here. And I must thank organizers for that. Now let us move towards our topic. Firstly, a very good evening to virtual audience here. And I must thank Controller WDC, Poonam Mhatre ma'am, who gave me this opportunity to connect with your students on this particular topic, gender equality and empowerment in this webinar. I must also extend my thanks to Director Dr. Abdul Razak Hunudgi, Honorable Ex-Chairman Mr. Burhan Harris, Honorable General Secretary Mr. Sheikh for inviting me to this webinar. I believe that the audience here is all engineering, architecture, and pharmacy students, right? So you're going to be the next generation citizens who would be responsible for social engineering and nicely design the social fabric articulately, and few of you would be looking forward to maintain the well-being of the society, being some pharmacist. And I'm sure you all have potential of the entrepreneurship which you will be bringing up on the board once you are out of your uni. And so would be you acting as an influencer and decision makers in future. So against this background, I strongly feel that today's topic of this webinar should be very close to your heart. And when you step out of your uni and face the real world, that is your working environment, when you will be engineers, architects, pharmacists in your professional world, you should be then known as the best professionals who are responsible for creating and maintaining healthy, safe, and conducive working environment. Not only when you are at work, but when you are mingling up and when you are with your dear ones and near ones in your home, in your friends. So on that note, now I'm getting straight to our topic, today's topic of webinar. That is gender equality and empowerment. In fact, I today feel having this technical difficulty at the beginning of this session. I really feel it would have been a great if we could have this conversation face to face, because this, I personally feel this topic requires interactive discussion rather than passive sessions, because when we are on such topics, it demands the exchange of thought and carrying forward the thought process, moral values, and how you would ingrain those values in next generation. So I am saying it requires exchange of thoughts. But never mind, we all have adopted to this new era, new normal, and we all have gone virtual, and maybe in near future, artificial intelligence would be more prevalent. So if we have adopted to such change, in last 2 years, most of us have been working from home. We have gone virtual. Even we are having virtual courtroom hearings. If we are such adaptive in nature, don't you think, students, that we can really adopt and get acclimatized with such change, why can't we really leave behind our prejudices and biases which are hovering around such topics, gender equality or gender? So it is something that students like you, who are future generation leaders, must think about it. And so we are talking about gender equality and empowerment today. You would be happy to note that this topic or this issue has been taken up by United Nations, and that is why it has been on agenda of United Nations, which is most ambitious Millennium post 2015 agenda, that is, which has been set for 17 sustainable goals, and amongst fifth goal is to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So that is why I particularly banked upon this particular slide, which I consider as a roadmap for promoting gender equality. So what United Nations and what UNICEF is expecting and what they are considering gender equality means that women and men and girls and boys all enjoy the same rights, resources, opportunities, and protections. Now we have some perspectives about this gender. So what is gender? Is it a sexual distinguishing term? No. What is sex? Sex term is used, it is generally used to identify the biological or physical differences between bodies of men and women. That is how you are born. You're born as a female or male, right? But what is the definition of gender then? Gender is used for the differences that are created as a result of the social and cultural expectations and norms about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. So that is how gender is defined. So it is the process by which individuals who are born into the biological categories of female or male become the social categories. See, when we talk about gender, now it is not only even male, female, there are transgenders. So they are born like that. So we have to understand this difference first. What is sex and what is gender? So that is why we are talking about gender equality, and that is why the awareness about gender equality is necessary. We cannot just distinguish human beings or person based on their sexual terms or sexual identifications. Because you are born male, you can do this. You are born female, you can only do this or you cannot do this. So it is not that, or that is not rather gender inequality also. So that is why we have to talk about, advocate about, educate about gender and gender equality. So that is why I have reproduced here the definition of gender. So that says it is the process by which individuals who are born into the biological categories of female or male become the social categories of women and men, and otherwise through the acquisition of culturally defined attributes of masculinity and femininity, as well as the resources and responsibilities which are associated with these categories. I think you are able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Are you sharing your screen?
I'm very sorry. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not visible, ma'am.
No, it's not visible.
I'm just sharing my screen. Give me a moment. I just want students to read this definition, which I just explained. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So we were talking about the definition or how the term gender has been defined. So what is this concept of gender equality? So it demands sexual equality or equality of sexes or of equal opportunities of resources, rights, the state of equal ease of access to resources and opportunities regardless of gender. Means whether you are female or male, you should be given access to same or equal opportunities. And that is including economic participation and decision making. And the state of valuing different behaviors, aspirations, and needs equally regardless of gender. So whether you are male or female, you should be given equal opportunities. So why this matters? Gender equality, why it matters? Because if we take into consideration a wholesome approach, women and girl represent half of the world's population and therefore also half of its potential. If, let us consider, if this 50% population has been taken out and they have not been provided with the opportunity of education, employment, equal rights, they will be automatically out of productive workforce. So we have access to only 50% of productive workforce. So that is why women and girls, they are required to be considered in equal proportion. So till now, gender inequality persists everywhere and stagnates social progress. It is not just our country, it is a universal problem. It's a global challenge. Women continue to be underrepresented at all levels of political leadership. If I have to talk about the body which governs advocates, there are not sufficient women to represent women lawyers. So that we have to fight with. Across the globe, women and girls perform a disproportionate share of unpaid domestic work. So here we talk about the equal opportunities which are not provided to women. Inequalities faced by girls begin right at birth and follow them all their lives. In our society, even after 75 years of independence, we seek to have a boy child. And if a girl child is detected, several abortions are taking place till today. So that is why this gender equality awareness campaign is necessary. What are the gender related challenges? When we will talk about empowerment, gender equality, we must know why we have to talk about this, because there are certain gender related challenges. And that is why we talk about women and girls. Boys or males may have this perspective or perception that when we talk about gender equality, why always the focus is on only women and girls? Because according to several surveys, social polls, gender related challenges have been termed out. So I have just pointed out few of them for your understanding. In many countries, girls are deprived of access to health care or proper nutrition even, leading to high mortality rate. So that is why we have lesser percentage of female population. In 2018, women only held 2,796 managerial positions worldwide. This is a worldwide survey. So it's very small percentage women are leading senior management positions. Women and girls around the world continue to experience violence and cruel practices. Now, we will talk about that in Indian context in later slides. Physical and sexual violence affects women of all ages, ethnicities, socioeconomic status, and educational level. So this problem is not country specific. Again, this is a global challenge. Child marriage also affects girls' education. So you are out of educational track, and then you lack resources. There may be some financial constraint, or there may be some socio-cultural impact. If the girl child is taken out of the educational track, she cannot do anything further. And her growth is hampered in every aspect. About 1/3 of developing countries have not achieved gender parity education. Girls still face the barriers to entering both primary and secondary school. When we talk about gender equality and when we consider this, or when we look at these gender related challenges, it's very sorry state of affair that we still have to deal with such challenges when girls are still facing barriers or problems to even have primary education. So what can be the status of higher education resources and opportunities? Worldwide, 35% of women between 15 to 49 years of age have experienced physical and sexual intimate partner violence. That means what we call as a domestic violence in particular, from people who are our own people, or non-partner sexual violence. It may be from the external interface, may it be your workplace or otherwise. 1 in 3 girls aged 15 to 19 have experienced some form of female genital mutilation in the 30 countries in Africa and Middle East. The harmful practices is most common with high risk of prolonged bleeding, infection, childbirth complications, infertility, and death. So we have to talk about gender equality and empowerment, because still women across the world are facing such problems, and that is why United Nations have this goal for women empowerment and to bring the gender equality. Why? Why it is important? As I said, if there is no education, your path to advancement is cut off. So disadvantage in education translate into lack of access to skills and limited opportunities in the labor market. Now, students here who are listening to me are taking education and engineering, architecture, pharmacy. So you are lucky enough that you have reached to this level of higher education, but there is much proportion of children who lack such kind of opportunities. They don't have access to education. They don't have access to higher education. And when there are financial restraints, unfortunately, parents have to make trade-off and to the misfortune of a girl child. Many times, the girl has to give up for her brother or for her any relation in the context of male relationship. So major percentage of women lack opportunities of education. So women's and girls' empowerment is essential to expand economic growth and promote social development. I'm sure the people listening to me must be familiar with Marathi language. Since our webinar medium is English, but I must mention one phrase which we always use in Marathi. एक स्त्री शिकली, अख्खं कुटुंब शिकले. अख्खं कुटुंब पुढे गेले. What does that mean? Means when one woman takes up education, she focuses on her advancement with respect to skills, her career path, her overall progress. Thought process is widened, and that leads the entire family to look forward, or she takes the entire family on the path of that progress. So education of girl child is very important to deal with the aspect of gender equality and women empowerment. So the girls here listening to me, students of engineering, architecture, and pharmacy, take a pride that your parents have given this opportunity, and you are lucky enough to be here to have such kind of higher education, and you have to make most of it, not only for yourself, but the other females or other women around you. So you have to pledge for the education of people around you, and you have to take them on the path of progress. The full participation of women in labor forces would add percentage points to most national growth rates. Why it is said so? Because if you educate, if you acquire skill sets, you become deployable. I'm using this word, you become deployable, means in the employment market, you can utilize your skills. When you will have skills, when you will educate yourself. So these things are required for the wholesome growth of a nation. So that is why we cannot just drop 50% of population of women and girls, and only 50% population cannot move forward. For a productive nation, a progressive nation, we need to have contribution of the entire population, compromising all genders. So all genders should be treated equally. Treated equally means they should have access to equal opportunities, equal resources. Now, let's see our Indian ideology. In Sanskrit, it is said, Yatra Naryastu Pujyante Ramante Tatra Devataha. Yatre Tastu Na Pujyante Sarvas Tatra Phala Kriya. जहां नारी की पूजा होती है वहां भगवान वास करते हैं. But we take it literally. Do we really need to be worshipped? No. We have to take implied meaning. That means you have to respect the dignity of a woman. That is what it is meant. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has said, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. And so I make a strong statement. Though we have several problems which pains our heart, but still I would make a statement. We believe in gender equality, and women's right is a human right. And why I made this statement? Because our Indian Constitution itself, in its preamble, provides for equality, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all. All is including everybody. So women, men, both are Indian citizens and they are equally entitled for everything. This is what the preamble says. Now, how do we achieve this? So I'm just introducing few things of our constitution to you to understand how we can bring in or how we can implement this gender equality, or what are the ways provided through our constitutional provisions. So as I shared a preamble with you, so the principle of gender equality has been, there are provisions provided in several articles through directive principles, fundamental rights, fundamental duties to achieve these aspects of gender equality. Now, these are few of constitutional provisions which takes care of the gender equality and woman empowerment. So if you are able to read my screen, I will not waste time reading those articles, but I would just make a point why these provisions are there. Article 14 is actually important, which guarantees that the state shall not deny equality before the law and equal protection of the law. Article 15 prohibits discrimination against any citizen on the ground of sex. So there are no different laws for male and female. So there are these articles which provides for bringing in gender equality. It gives way out to the state to make certain provisions, rules, norms, policies, schemes to implement gender equality. So these are as a layman, you should know that what are the provisions in Constitution which takes care about the gender equality. Now, while sharing these legal aspects, I must talk about why we need these legal provisions. Now, since we have understood the term gender, and we are talking about gender equality, and we are seeking equal opportunities for men and women, how do we get that? So when we seek equal opportunities, and if you are given equal opportunities, that does mean you have to shoulder equal responsibilities also. So I have to say, I have to make a statement here that here, boys and girls both are listening to me. This session is not only meant for boys. They don't have to just, passively listen that, okay, we have to give opportunities to women. It is not that. Do consider each other as a human being. Treat each other as a human being. For girls, when you seek or when we expect that we be treated as a human being, we be treated as a person, as an individual, and we expect that all access to opportunities, access to resources, access to education, access to political opportunities, that time we do carry the responsibilities. We have to carry those responsibilities. We cannot just seek the opportunities and just leave the responsibilities aside. When we are seeking such opportunities and when those opportunities are denied and when you feel aggrieved, how do establish the issue of gender equality? And for that, we have to know these constitutional provisions. So these provisions, I would say, are tools of empowerment. So these provisions have empowered us to establish the gender equality. Now, we talk about why we have seen gender challenges which are gender specific, as we discussed that there are certain challenges worldwide for women and girls. In Indian perspective, when we are talking about this gender equality and when I am sharing these constitutional provisions, so our constitutional provisions have laid certain enactments to be made for the protection of women and to curb these practices of gender inequalities. So few of the legislative measures to ensure equal rights to counter social discrimination and various forms of violence and atrocities, certain enactments have been made. There are certain provisions under Indian Penal Code, like there are provisions for the offenses such as rape, kidnapping, abduction, homicide for dowry deaths and their attempts, torture, cruelty, molestation, outraging modesty of women, sexual harassment, importation of girls up to 21 years of age. We have several other crimes identified in special laws, which I have mentioned here. So all these laws works as a tool for women. If she is aggrieved, if she is denied any opportunity and she has been discriminated on the basis of gender, she has this platform which she can bank upon. There are special initiatives for women. Women have been given 1/3 of the total seats for women in all elected offices and local bodies, whether in rural areas or urban areas, to ensure survival, protection, and development of girl child, with the ultimate objective of building up a better future for the girl child. The goal of policy is to bring about advancement, development, and empowerment of women. So all these acts and laws work as a weapon. If women or girls have been denied opportunities on the basis of gender, or if there is a crime against women. Now, recently, there has been a good enactment has established and implemented in the form of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. Till today, we read the newspaper, we listen to the news, and we come across with the news, painful news of domestic violences. So those domestic violences can be countered using such legislative piece which provides assistance to aggrieved women in form of monetary relief, residence relief, compensation relief, some urgent orders, as the case may be. There is another piece of enactment which is very important, that is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act. This act particularly provides protection against sexual harassment of women at workplace and for the prevention and redressal of complaints of sexual harassment and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. I think your college has this particular committee made for that, Women Development Cell. So I'm sure you must be having ICC, Internal Complaint Committee, to take care of such issues. Sexual harassment results in violation of fundamental rights of a woman to equality and her right to life and to live with dignity and right to practice any profession or to carry any occupation, trade or business, which includes a right to a safe environment free from sexual harassment. So when you are at workplace, we need happy and conducive environment. So it is very important that without any apprehension and without any fear, without any botheration, you should be able to work. Now, students here of engineering and architecture, I'm sure you, once you are out of your uni, you will have to work in fields on site. When you are on site work, definitely you have to work shoulder to shoulder of laborers, main experts, contractors. So it is a different kind of environment which you have to get, I would say, acclimatized with. And that is something generally, girls make choices, which career path to be chosen. So when you have chosen such career path of engineering and architecture, you should make up your mind that perhaps you may come forward with such instance where you will have to bank upon and you will have to be more stronger to lead further, to progress further, to fight against the issues of gender equality. There may be assignment. You may feel that it didn't come to me just because I'm female engineer or female architect. There are certain instances, it happens. People complain about it, that the particular assignment went to a male expert or main engineer or architect. because the client thought I may not be able to go on site. I may not be able to work late hours. So when we talk about, that is why I said, when we talk about the equal access to opportunities, or when we talk about gender equality, we have to shoulder responsibilities also. When you are exposed to such an environment, which is very challenging, demanding, we have to come out of the aura of that feminism. There you should be only as an engineer, as an architect, or as a pharmacist. And your work, your skill set should speak. So that will make you the eminent expert in that particular field. And there, no one would be able to make, choice or difference that I do not want this particular engineer or architect or pharmacist just because that pharmacist or engineer or architect is lady or a woman, and she may have the domestic responsibilities, and my assignment would not be completed in time, or she may not be able to deal with difficult contractor, or she may not be able to go on site, and she may not be able to deal with those circumstances. So there we have to make a difference. So there we have to establish that what gender equality is. So gender equality is nothing but the equal opportunities, means men and women should be treated equally. We have natural differences. We are born differently because by nature we are made for it's just that the difference of how we take the reproduction of human being. It is just a difference. There may be limitations. So we must identify our limitations. But those limitations should not distinguish us that this particular kind of work female can do and this particular kind of work male can do, or rather women can do and men cannot do, or men can do or women cannot do. See, now last 2 years, all of us are most of the time work from home. Even for us, we are also doing virtual court hearings. Some people who are in back offices, they are literally working from home. They don't have to step out of the home. And in that case, if both husband and wife, both are working personnel, then there comes the question of gender equality there. Because these 2 years, women have really struggled because they have to shoulder domestic responsibilities. They have to cook, they have to look after the children. And at the same time, when they are working from home, they have to answer their bosses. They have to discharge their work responsibilities. But unfortunately, we still have this cultural ethos and cultural setup, such as she's struggling alone in the home, handling computer at one side and cooking vegetable at other side. But the male at home is calmly just concentrating, focusing on his phone. So this we have to change. And I'm sure you student would understand what are the difficulties when you have to achieve success, or when you have to lead on your career paths. What sacrifices we have to do, what trades-off we have to do to move further in our career progresses or career paths. When we step up the career ladders. So challenges are same for women and men. So why only women should suffer? So boys here, students here, I appeal to them. So try to consider these aspects from humanity. If you are tired, at the same time, if he is tired, she is also tired. Rather, she is more tired because she has taken care of you. She has taken care of your child the entire day. She has fed you food. She has worked. And at the end of the day, her threshold is finished. So you have to consider this. And this is where we have to bring in this gender equality. If I am working 9 hours, she's also working 9 hours. She's working and she's putting her efforts. That mental application is same. That intellectual level is same. Then what is the difference? Why she should only struggle doing all things at domestic front and her professional front also? So at least you can consider these aspects, that you can come forward and you can really show what gender equality could be. You can extend some assistance to your sister, mother, wife, and you can be an ambassador of gender equality. So this particular act which I referred, which takes care about any grievance or any workplace harassment issue and how it should be dealt with. So it has some definitions of aggrieved woman, means a woman who suffers or who experience this workplace harassment. And this act is applicable to even domestic worker. Even if you are in school and you experience any kind of sexual harassment, you can definitely report it to the committee, which is required to be formed for dealing such issues. Now, sexual harassment, when we talk about what it is unwelcome acts or behavior directly or by implication. I'm just giving you in just glance, you can understand, or you can try to understand what it is about sexual harassment. What can be the sexual harassment? That is physical contact and advances, a demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature, showing pornography. So why I am introducing this to you, or why I'm talking about this in this particular session of gender equality and empowerment, because as we talk that we need happy and conducive environment for our betterment and to give 100% productivity. But if we face such challenges, it affects our productivity. It affects our efficiency. So we need to be aware of this particular aspect. So if you face such things in your working environment or workplace, at your workplace, you definitely have, you can raise your voice against it, and you have a legislation in place that empowers you to fight for your right. So I talked about internal committee. I said definitely your college must be having, and that is why this women development cell is in existence. So this committee is having this kind of structure. So there is a presiding officer who can be woman employed at senior level, member or employee committed to the cause of women, member employee having experience in social work or legal knowledge, and a third party member from any NGO association, and particularly that association or NGO is committed to cause of women or familiar with issues related to sexual harassment. Now, as I said, you can be an ambassador of gender equality. So when we talk about empowerment, so I assume that you have understood what is gender equality. That is equal opportunities to be given to men and women. And when we move forward in this discussion, and when we talk about empowerment, as we learn the definition of gender, and we understood the gender equality, but what is empowerment? What do you think? What is empowerment? Having laws in place, using those laws? No, they are just tools. But what is empowerment then? I feel empowerment is empowering yourself by knowledge, education, which brings wisdom in you. Make yourself a person, a wise person, and empower yourself so that you can educate others. You can fight for your right. Fight means not literal fight. You can find path of your progress. You can work on your advancement. You can educate other girls who lack opportunities of education. You can educate those people who are under misconceptions of any cultural ethos or any socio-cultural impact, which are preventing women to take education or preventing women to take up any particular kind of employment which she is looking for. But there are certain prejudices or perspective that no, this job is not for women. So once you educate yourself, you acquire such skill sets which make you more productive and to stand up in the society as a self-sufficient person. Empower yourself with knowledge, education, qualifications, deployable skills, so that you should be able to understand and know your self-worth, who you are, what you can do, what are your responsibilities towards society, to a family, toward your colleagues, towards your work. So that is how you empower yourself. That sense of understanding you should bring in by acquiring those skills and education. So here I have banked upon 4 things. When I say stay in, what I mean, if you are a student, you can stay in school, college, help empower your female classmates to do the same and fight for your right to access sexual and reproductive health services. So if you do not have access to such facilities, stand up for yourself and others. Address what you have to address or what you have to look for. What you have to do right is, if you are a woman, you can address unconscious biases and implicit associations that form an unintended and often invisible barrier to equal opportunity. Work alone. Don't make groups. Okay, we men only, we will work together. Don't do that. Women only, don't do that. Work alone. Because gender equality means be compatible to each other. Use the skill sets of all genders together, be compatible, and make a productive workforce, make a productive society or make a good, bring harmony to the society, peaceful environment, healthy and conducive environment for living as a human being. So if you are a man or a boy, you can work alongside women and girls to achieve gender equality and embrace healthy, respectful relationships. What if you have a sister and only you have been pampered and she doesn't get that amount of love and affection from your parents, so she will have that complex always. So we have to work along. So we have to remove that, those prejudices and biases. Fund. You can fund education campaigns to curb cultural practices like female genital mutilation and change harmful laws that limit the rights of women and girls and prevent them from achieving their full potential. At the beginning of our conversation, I mentioned that only 50% of world population, if we consider the wholesome view, entire worldwide approach, 50% of population comprises women and girls. So if we remove that 50% population from the productive workforce, or what would be the productivity of our society? We have to bring in that potential by providing them equal opportunities. So how we have to do this, or how we have to work on this? So how we would bring the woman empowerment, or how we have to empower ourselves? Gain greater control over resources material. Gain greater control over resources material means don't snatch. That is why I said empower yourself by knowledge, skills, so that you have access to the opportunities and resources. Where it is just fight and stand up for your right. Speak out if anything wrong is happening just because you are female or woman. Speak out and then use those tools which I referred as a legislative basis. Human and intellectual knowledge. This is very important. Before even acquiring any educational skills or deployable skills, I would say you have to be a good human being, so that you will understand the others' feelings, what they feel about. So you have to prepare that psychology. You have to work on those aspects also. So that is why human and intellectual knowledge. So you have to nurture your mind too. Information, ideas, be innovative, be creative, be compatible, and work along with men in the areas of your chosen career path. Financial resources like money and access to money. So this will happen when you will acquire deployable skills, when you will have good higher education. So study is most important aspect. Education is more important aspect. So for women, it is must that they should be, or women should get education at least to that level which will make her deployable, or at least you can be self-sufficient. You are not dependent upon anybody. control over decision making in the home, community, society, and nation, and to gain power. To gain power means you have to be self-sufficient. I will again use this term because you should be able to make choices. You should be able to make decisions. Which thing is right for me? For example, if you are choosing the faculty or career path for you, which area I must learn, whether engineering, architecture, pharmacy, or otherwise. It's not just that, just because my mom said I must go for this particular faculty or I must choose this faculty. You should be able to make choice. You should understand yourself. You should listen to yourself. And that decision-making ability would come when you will educate yourself. You should contribute to the society through your knowledge and wisdom. So it is the education which is the right weapon to cut the social slavery, and it is the education which will enlighten the downtrodden masses to come up and gain social status, economic betterment, and political freedom. And that is why our Indian Constitution in preamble have the provision, or it says that equality, equal protection of law and equality before law. So how you will empower as a woman to yourself? So as I said, promoting women's sense of self-worth, ability to determine their own choices, their right to influence social change for themselves and others. So you have to be socially strong. You have to empower yourself in social context, educational context, economic context, political context, and psychological. Political means, as I referred, the provisions which are made for reservations for women in our state or in our country. We have such policies and schemes in place where to achieve this concept of gender equality and equal opportunities for women, we have several schemes and policies in place as a central policies or state-led policies, which provides reservation for women. May it be elections or in political context, or for having education of their choices. So to grab those opportunities to empower ourselves. So this is about empowerment. So concludingly, I would say gender equality is a fundamental human right. And if you can see the picture, it is not just women. It is woman and man. So we have to go along with, and we have to bring this change. So that is what we have to work on, and we have to look at it as a human right. Treat each other as a human and empower each other to make a productive nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leena ma'am, for the brief sharing, like how you said about women and girls represent half of the world's population, and to provide equal opportunities for men and women, and how to consider and treat each other as a human being. We'll definitely keep those things in mind. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you once again. Now we will quickly start with Q&A session. So I would request the audience to put their questions or can also share their experience in the chat box.
anybody has any kind of questions, they can please put it on the chat box or they can unmute themselves and ask.
Actually, I would like to make a reference to what your sir said. He rightly said, and he was proudly mentioning about the foundation of this particular institution in 1874, and he referred it as a ocean. So I believe students here are, I think, pearls from that ocean, and you have to shine like a pearl. And you have to really champion this cause of gender equality. And I'm sure your next generation leaders and entrepreneurs, you would do that.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Absolutely, ma'am. You're absolutely right. Amina, I think we can go ahead with the vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a question from Rohan Das sir. Amina, in the chat box, there is a question from Rohan Das sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Rohandas sir wants to ask that as an educator, how can I make my class more gender equal?
Okay. So to answer this question, I would say that's the reason I share few legislations and their few aspects. So you can conduct certain activities to bring awareness to your audience or masses or your class students to know what is gender equality, what are the provisions to bring in the gender equality, and how you can champion that cause of gender equality.
Ma'am, he thanks you. Any else question? Anybody else wants to ask any question, any feedback, anything they want to say to ma'am?
Yeah, Amina, I have one question for ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Leena ma'am, good evening. I'm Professor Jayashree from Pharmacy Department.
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am, what is the difference between gender equity and gender equality?
Equity and equality, both are different terms. Now we are talking about equality.
Yes, ma'am. So what is the difference?
When we are talking about gender equality, we are talking about treating different genders to be treated alike, giving them opportunities equally. Gender equity is a different term. I think that will require another session to discuss what is gender equity. Let us constrain or restrict ourselves to only gender equality in this session.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yes, guys, any more doubts? Any more questions? The session was quite interesting. Okay, so till then,
Shaheen ma'am,
yes, ma'am. Yes,
can you
we have
please
got the link.
put the, okay.
Yes, I have done it.
Yes.
Yes, Shiny has shared the link. Everybody can fill up the feedback form, those who are present.
It's a request to everybody to please fill out the feedback form.
Before we go, I'm very sorry. Before we go, someone asked me first question like, what one can do for his or her class to make more gender equal. Now, when we talk about gender equality and to bring in that gender equality, even in corporate, at corporate level or at workplace, as I said, we have reservation. So you can set up such policies or norm for your, educational institutions. I think that is already there. And as I said, activities you can conduct on campus to make awareness about gender equality.
Yes, ma'am. Rohan sir agrees with your point. And also now, if we don't have any more questions in the chat box, I think we can go ahead with the vote of thanks. Yes? Okay, fine. So, yes, a link is available in the chat box. Guys, you are please requested to fill the feedback form. And now I'll just go about to vote of thanks. And good evening all. It was a very great session indeed. I deem it a great honor and sorry. It was a great session indeed, and I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this event. First and foremost, I would really like to thank and appreciate the efforts of our guest speaker here, Advocate Leena Patil ma'am, who despite her busy schedule found out time to grace this occasion with a presence virtually. We are very grateful for the constant support of our director, Dr. Abdul Razak Khankagi sir, and deans and HODs of all the 3 departments and schools. I pin my heartfelt thanks to the audience, to Evan's interest and taking all the good stuff back with them. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the entire team of ICC WDC for arranging the event, maintaining discipline and working behind the screen to make sure that we have the idea of just perfect balance. And I would like to end my vote of thanks by thanking the anchors of this event, Ms. Nakia Afsar, Cultural Secretary, and Ms. Sadia Khan, Class Representative of the Students' Council, both of them from School of Architecture, and Ms. Asma Wangde from 3rd year School of Pharmacy for helping us bless the environment in the start. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we shall meet soon. When the college reopens, we will have more such sessions.
Thank you,
so
and
much,
I
everybody.
wish you all the best. All the best to all students and the committee.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you so much.